A heartfelt tale of a husband's quiet farewell, an audio story that explores themes of cheating and betrayal, shared on Reddit. This morning started off quite differently than usual. One moment we were peacefully asleep, and the next, my wife Lisa surprised me by being all over me, in a way that was both unexpected and a bit more assertive than usual. In the 20 years we've been married, she had never been this bold in bed. For the next 20 minutes, it wasn't love we shared. It was pure, instinctive, and powerful. When we finished, we were both drenched in sweat, blissfully exhausted, and completely satisfied. I guess that's exactly what she was aiming for. It was in that tender, post-coital bliss that she revealed her surprise. "David, sweetheart, how much do you love me?" On a typical day, that question would have definitely made me stop and think about what might happen next. In that moment, I was just too relaxed to really explore its meaning. I just smiled and raised my left hand. "Check out that wedding ring, my friend." She responded with a gentle, sweet yes, her hands exploring my chest, making me feel even warmer and more at ease. "Well, my dear," I continued, "this ring has a lovely round shape and is designed to last forever. I love you so much, Lisa, infinitely, just like the circle of this ring. It's everlasting." She leaned in to kiss me, a kiss that suggested something sweet might be coming soon. But then she gently pulled away, ending the moment. "David, I'd like you to take a moment to think about something important," she said. Her tone shifted to a more serious note. "And I hope you can promise me that you won't get upset or make any quick judgments about what I'm about to ask. Would you be able to do that?" I wasn't worried just yet, still enjoying the moment, and without giving it much thought, I nodded and made a promise. Lisa kept gently stroking my chest as she moved forward with a bit of hesitation. "David, some of the girls I work with have been chatting about their boyfriends and what they might do for them. Sweetheart, it looks like these young guys really have the energy that you might be missing these days. What I'm asking you, David, is more like a friendly request." She paused for a moment, as if collecting her thoughts, and then let everything flow out. "If you truly care for me, as you claim, would you be open to letting me have a free-spirited experience with another man, just this once?" I could feel myself getting tense as the frustration bubbled up, and I decided to wrap up this silly question with the grace it warranted. A straightforward approach. Absolutely not. With that declaration, I cheerfully jumped out of bed to tackle my yard work. Lisa was quite the resourceful one. Over the next few days, she explored different ways to revisit the topic, even suggesting the same idea of spending a night with a younger woman. I gently reminded her that it wasn't meant to be and encouraged her to move on. A few weeks went by, and I thought her focus on wanting another lover had faded when she faced another issue. Lisa's company had to downsize, and unfortunately, she was let go. Lisa was on the lookout for work, but as a 42-year-old secretary in this economy, she found that there weren't too many opportunities available. As the weeks went by, I noticed my wife becoming more and more overwhelmed by her feelings of sadness. When she wasn't out searching for a job, she was on our computer doing who knows what. Then the day arrived when she surprised me with her wild antics once more. I had just come home from work when I found her waiting at the door, dressed in nothing but a garter belt, stockings, and heels, holding a martini. I realized I should have been a bit more cautious, since this was so unlike my wife's usual behavior over the past 15 years, but all my logical thinking just vanished when I saw her nude. I just decided to go with the flow at that point. After an hour, I felt really tired and totally worn out. Lisa was quite the determined spirit, and for the first time since she was laid off, I started to consider that her time without a job might have some silver linings. That is, until she interrupted the moment and brought it up again. After enjoying what was truly the best moment in our marriage, she went into the bathroom to freshen up, and when she came back, I noticed a hint of something troubling on her face as she climbed back into our bed to cuddle up next to me. "I have something to share with you, and I hope you can promise me that you won't get upset and walk away before we talk it through together." I had a feeling this wouldn't be the best experience, but with some hesitation, I kindly agreed to her request. Lisa snuggled into me and laid her head on my shoulder, almost whispering in my ear, "David, do you know how I've been feeling over the last few weeks? Have you ever experienced being told you're overqualified for a job while someone younger who has less experience gets the position? It can be quite frustrating, especially when it seems like other factors are at play." I heard her gasp, almost like she was trying to hold back the tears. As a caring husband, I embraced her gently and said softly, "No, I don't, Lisa, but you are a beautiful and intelligent woman, and that truly shines through." I'm confident you'll land a job, and it will be for all the right reasons. It will depend on what you can do. You're really smart, talented, and a great worker, and I know you'll overcome this." Her left arm that had been draped over my chest now felt like it was holding me a bit tighter, and she appeared to be on the verge of tears as she continued speaking. "Hey, David. I think I might have found a job right here in town. A wonderful man connected me with a friend of his who owns an insurance agency and is on the lookout for a personal assistant." I was really focused as I chased after this final piece of information. "Lisa, who is this guy, and how did you two meet?" Lisa gave me another hug, and then I connected with Mark on a dating website. I almost fell off the bed. "Oh, really? Where did you meet him?" Lisa gently pulled me back again and started talking to me in a way that reminded me of how my mother used to explain things when I was too young to fully grasp them. "David, my dear, you know I've been having a tough time since my layoff, and I needed a little pick-me-up, so I decided to put my picture on a website for married women looking for single guys. I gave it a try to boost my confidence, and it really paid off. I received a lot of attention from men who appreciated me for who I am, and it really lifted my spirits." I was shaking my head and doing my best to stay calm. "I'm really surprised that you would do that to me, or to us, for that matter." She kindly reminded me that being angry wouldn't help and asked me to let her finish. In the end, I was happy to listen to her. Through this site, I met a man named Mark, and we've been emailing back and forth. He's a businessman with plenty of connections, and when I mentioned that I had been laid off, he kindly arranged an interview for me tomorrow with his friend. She took a moment to collect her thoughts. When she paused, I chimed in. "All right, Lisa, let me summarize this situation and see where it's headed. First, you have a job interview that came about from sharing your picture on a dating site. Secondly, a meat chasing a hole prepares you for a job interview, believing that since he has helped you, you might be able to help him back in some way. Third, and this is where it gets interesting, I'm meant to feel so happy about all of this that I just lie down and let this guy be with my wife as a way of showing my appreciation. Fourth, you promised me that it would be just this once, and that would be the end of it. Is that correct, Lisa?" I noticed my wife shiver at my outburst and attempt to pull away, but I held on to her gently. Lisa began to talk excitedly through her tears. "Oh no, it's not like that at all. Mark is such a gentleman, and he didn't bring up where we met to my prospective boss. I care about you, David, but I'm interested in being intimate with Mark. I would love to feel that I am appreciated by someone besides my husband. Do you see that?" I wasn't quite sure I understood her perspective, but I did my best to help her feel better. Feeling hopeful that I could ease her worries and help her think clearly about this, I gently stroked her back with my left hand and whispered comforting words like, "It will be all right, and we will get through this together." I thought she was calming down, but then she suddenly spoke out again, and it was in a more forceful manner. "You mentioned that you loved me. Oh, I appreciate that, but this is a different matter altogether." Her voice dropped in timbre as she continued with determination. "I could have gone behind your back, David, and done what I'm planning with Mark secretly, but I really don't want to disrespect you like that. This is going to be a unique experience for me, and I probably won't do it again. My dear husband, I would love for you to show me just how much you truly care for me." She paused, and just as I was about to say something, her voice took on a more soothing tone and started again. "Sweetheart, consider it this way. Hey, do you remember last summer when you kindly lent our neighbor your mower when his broke?" I quietly said that I did. "Oh, when you got it back, it was just perfect. It seems you weren't too fond of the mower, especially since it didn't cut quite the same after someone else had used it. This is just like that, David. I'll be back once this is all done, and you won't even notice the difference. Just know that I'll express my love for you in a much more tangible way." Hearing her unusual reasoning really opened my eyes to how much my wife wanted to pursue this, and it stirred up feelings in me that were quite intense. I realized at that moment that she was going to see this Mark guy whether I liked it or not, so with my frustration just under the surface, I simply said what I needed to say. "I notice that you seem set on doing what you want, regardless of what I say. But Lisa, before you go ahead with this decision, please think it through. I'm looking forward to meeting this Mark first. Sounds good?" With those words, she heard what she wanted to hear and became almost giddy as she kissed me and jumped up, dancing around our bedroom in her joyful state. I realized that this moment would signal the conclusion of our joyful marriage. At last, she paused her dancing, and in just her garter belt and stockings, She excitedly exclaimed that she needed to email Mark as she dashed out of our bedroom to the computer. I was amazed at how my usually conservative wife was now behaving like a giddy teenager who just found out the captain of the football team is interested in her. I had quite a bit on my mind, and as I got up from our bed and headed to take a shower, I couldn't help but feel a bit like an old man. The next few days went by quickly, and guess what? Lisa landed the job with a friend of her soon-to-be lover, Mark. My wife looked so happy when she excitedly told me that they had decided to go out next Saturday and spend the whole night together before she comes home on Saturday. I expressed my gratitude for the information, but I couldn't help but feel that she might not have noticed the discomfort I was experiencing while she excitedly shared her romantic escapades with me. Lisa really put in the effort to get ready for her date. Throughout the week, she picked out a stunning evening gown, some lovely new shoes, and all the perfect accessories. She even scheduled a beauty parlor appointment for a complete makeover on Friday afternoon, just in time for Mark to pick her up. I believe what hurt me the most was that, even during our time together, she never seemed as excited to see me. What really helped me stay sane that week was that I was also busy running a few errands and getting ready for my meeting with her lover on Friday. The evening finally arrived, and Lisa was as anxious as a bride on her wedding day. When I got home from work, I found her happily getting her overnight bag ready for her sleepover. I felt a bit down seeing a glow in her that I never managed to bring out, even during our time together all those years ago. She happily let me know that I should call and order a pizza for myself, since she and Mark would be dining at a fancy new club in town, the Grand Royale Bistro. I had heard about this restaurant, and from what I gathered, it seemed like you needed quite a bit of cash and some good connections to even consider going there. In short, it was the place where the elite gathered to enjoy their meals. It seems that Mark was quite well off and had some good connections. When the doorbell rang, Lisa let out a little scream in surprise, saying he was early and she wouldn't be ready for another 20 minutes or so. She asked me to keep Mark entertained in the meantime. With a shake of my head, I opened the door to find a distinguished-looking man standing there, about 3 inches taller than my 5 feet, 9 inches, and quite a bit more muscular too. His hair had a lovely blend of salt and pepper, and his eyes sparkled with curiosity as he looked me over in return. As I stared at this imposing man, he reached his hand out and with a warm yet commanding voice introduced himself. "Hello. Hi there. I'm Mark Brown, and I'm here to pick up Lisa." I took his hand and shook it, thinking about how Lisa's dad must have felt the first time I came to pick her up. I wasn't really fond of the feeling, but I brushed it aside and said, "Come on in." "Hi there. I'm David, and I'm married to Lisa. She's moving a bit slowly, but she should be all set in about 20 minutes. Would you like something to drink?" Mark smiled and shook his head as he settled into a chair. "Thanks, but I'll pass. I was really looking forward to meeting you." I settled back in my chair and, with a raised eyebrow, simply said, "That is interesting. It's not every day that the love interest wants to meet the husband who was left behind." "Well, I haven't had a ton of experience in these matters. How about you?" Mark laughed a bit and said, "I actually have. And that's why I was looking forward to meeting you. I currently have 3 wives that I spend time with regularly. If Lisa and I connect like I believe we will, then it will be 5. It seems like the whole concept of having an extramarital lover is a bit exciting for them." I clearly heard the word regular, and it became obvious that Lisa had been thinking about more than just a one-night stand with this guy. Keeping my anger in check, I replied, "Wow, that is quite amazing. It's hard to believe there are so many other people out there who are just as complicated as my wife." Mark's facial expression showed that he was surprised when I answered him. "Hey David, can I ask you something? It seems like you're not completely excited about this date, huh?" I glanced at Mark with a neutral expression and said, "No, I'm not. But it doesn't really matter anymore at this point." "Really? Hey there, what would you like to know? What are the 4 husbands of the wives you're seeing like?" Mark gave me a charming smile. "Well, to start, I'm not getting involved with them in that way. I enjoy believing that we share a special connection. But, David, as you mentioned, some guys really have it tough. One of the husbands enjoys hearing his wife share the tiniest details of our dates, especially when it comes to the romantic moments, which seems to make him happy. Another enjoys tidying up as soon as his wife gets home. That's why she can't stay overnight with me, as she wants to make sure he has fresh leavings." Mark paused for a moment to check in on how I was reacting to his accounts, but when he saw me sitting quietly, he carried on. The third husband is always eager to help me out and kindly asks me to take his wife whenever I visit. That guy definitely has some issues that can be a bit unsettling, but his wife truly cares for him and goes out of her way to support him. The last guy is the one I truly care about. He has some heart issues and can't be intimate anymore, so he lets me help take care of his wife for him. Sometimes I can really sense the pain he might be feeling while I spend time with his wife. Mark paused and gazed directly into my eyes. I can tell you're not like those other husbands, David. For the first time I smiled. Although I can't quite connect with the guy who feels the pain of his bad heart when his wife goes out with you, it's a bit hard to relate to any of them. Actually, I'm quite different from them. Hey, can I ask you another question? What makes you interested in married women? Mark responded quickly. Oh, David, that's a simple question to answer. First, I earn a good amount of money, and it seems that many women are drawn to that, hoping to share in your success. Married women typically don't do that, since they have someone special waiting for them at home. Another great thing is that they make no demands. They are always happy to help and never bring it up later. At last, there's no more sneaking around. The husbands are all in the loop and even give their thumbs up. It always feels fresh and fun. For friendship, love, and intimacy. Mark glanced at me as if he was trying to understand me better. Hey David, can I ask you something? If you're not comfortable with your wife doing this, what made you give it the go-ahead? I gave him a straight-faced look as I replied. I honestly didn't have any other option. Lisa basically let me know that it was this way or behind my back. I really didn't want that to happen, so I let her know that she needed to do what she felt was right at that moment. In the end, I'm really confident that everything will turn out just fine. A brief shadow passed over Mark's face as he appeared to grasp what I had just hinted at. Leaning forward in his chair, he gently said, David, I know that your wife truly loves you. She has hinted at it in every one of our emails. If you'd like, I can call it off and head out right away. I could feel the weight of this whole dilemma in my chest as I softly replied. Have you ever thought about whether she wrote that to persuade you, or maybe even herself? He nodded as if he truly understood my perspective. I might have really liked this guy in another situation, but tonight just isn't the right time. No need to stress about your date. Feel free to enjoy yourself. In my view, the decision is made and things are set to happen. Mark seemed eager to keep the conversation going, and his eyebrow lifted as he asked with intention. I have a feeling this night might be a bit challenging for Lisa. Really? Before you take any steps you might look back on with regret, I want you to understand that I will never place any emotional demands on your wife. And this is just for the physical aspect. Just checking if you're aware of that. I stared at him for a moment and truly assessed the kind of person he was. You're really insightful, Mark. It's no surprise that you're doing so well in business. I see that you're interested in my wife's physical presence, but it's important to recognize that you can't have that without affecting the essence of our marriage. I hope you have a wonderful night, and let's just leave it at that. It seemed like Mark was at a loss for words as he sat there looking a bit embarrassed, before he finally said, I'm sorry, David. This isn't quite what I had in mind. One time, my wife strolled into the room, and she looked absolutely stunning. Her face and attitude were radiant, and her outfit would ignite passion in any man's heart. She approached Mark with a warm smile, wrapping her arms around his neck and sharing a long, deep kiss as he stood to greet her. I felt a deep sense of sadness and regret as I realized what a fool I had been. I wish I had insisted that Lisa see a therapist when this all started. But now it was too late when she pulled away from Mark. I could tell he was really drawn in by her charm and the passion of her kiss. With a hint of guilt in his eyes, he softly said to Lisa, Baby, why don't you go and give your husband a goodbye kiss, like it might be the last one he'll ever receive from you? She smiled playfully as she withdrew her arms from his neck, and with a charming sway in her walk, she crossed our living room to me. Lisa wrapped her arms around me and leaned in close to my ear, whispering, I know how much you love me, and I thank you for this night. Here is a down payment on account, and she kissed me so softly and tenderly that, without warning, my tears began to fall from my eyes. As she pulled away, I noticed the concern on her face, and with a reassuring smile, she said, Remember, my dear sweet husband, my love is only for you. Although he may enjoy my company tonight, you'll have me back tomorrow, just as good as new. With those final words, she drew me in and went to him, taking his hand. In a throaty voice filled with excitement, she said, Well, lover, let's begin our adventure. The two stepped out of the room and strolled down to Mark's Lexus, where he kindly opened the door for my wife. They shared one last sweet kiss before Lisa hopped in. Before they made their way down the street, I set my wedding band on our dining room table, along with a note. Last week, I had a jeweler cut through the ring. After finishing that task, I asked him to add an engraving on one side of the cut, with the year we got married and the present year on the other side. It seems that my wife hadn't even realized I wasn't wearing my wedding ring for days, which makes me wonder how much she notices me these days. The note I left was pretty straightforward. Lisa, when I mentioned that you should do what you had to do, I didn't mean it as approval or acceptance. It was just a friendly recognition of the choice you made. When you get to this note, I'll have already taken off. I'm beginning a new chapter without you. Congratulations. The house is yours now. I've signed the quick claim, and you'll get most of the savings as well. I truly wish you all the happiness and a wonderful life ahead. If you're curious about why I had my wedding ring cut, let me share the story with you. Do you recall the day you asked me just how much I loved you, right before everything got a bit chaotic? I mentioned that just like my wedding ring, my love will last forever. The cut in the ring now symbolizes the conclusion of that love, which was affected by your betrayal. I had the dates engraved on it to celebrate the two important moments when we began and when we concluded. Just one more thing. Tomorrow, you'll receive divorce papers mentioning some differences that couldn't be resolved. I'm having a hard time coming up with something that suits better. Wishing you all the best with your new job. I believe you'll do great. Wishing you a wonderful life. Lisa never thought I would actually do it. She held on to the hope that I would change my mind right until the papers were served. I had been just like I always do. But this time is different. There wasn't any bending. I've got no compromises left in me. When I stepped away from our marriage, I didn't just step away from her. I stepped away from the version of myself that had devoted years to loving her without any conditions. When I handed her the divorce papers, her face fell apart. It turned out to be quite different from what she had in mind. She believed this was simply another disagreement. We navigated through another challenging time together. But for me, it was the end of the road. I had reached my limit and wasn't interested in joining her on whatever new adventure she was pursuing. I was hoping for a partner, not someone who seemed ready to leave. At first, she attempted to resist it. She reached out with calls, texts, and even left some long voicemails about how we could make things better. She promised she never intended for things to go this far. She even said sorry, mentioning that she was a bit confused and had made a mistake. Unfortunately, by that time, it was too late. She had already crossed a line. I wasn't really interested in trying to bring us back from the edge. I went ahead and took care of what needed to be done. I decided to stop communicating with her directly. Each word, all communication. I worked with my lawyer. I was playing her song. She kindly requested court-mandated counseling. She was hoping it would give her a little more time. How about giving her another chance to make things right? However, I decided not to go along with it. There wasn't anything left to rescue. I just didn't feel like sitting in a room and pretending there was a chance to fix what was broken. The court encouraged it, but I held my ground. I decided it was best not to spend any more time trying to fix something that just couldn't be repaired. 1 year. That's the time it took. A year of going back and forth with lawyers. Lisa is taking her time, taking a pause, clinging to the final bits of who we once were. But I stayed put. I kept my focus. Committed, even when it was tough. I had spent quite a few years allowing her to shape the story. I wasn't going to let her take any more time than needed. The day the divorce was finalized was the first time I really felt a sense of freedom in years. It was quite a challenge. There were times I considered the idea of giving in. Let's find a way to make this easier for both of us. However, I didn't. I had a clear idea of what I wanted, and it just didn't feel like the life we had created together anymore. It was a fresh experience, something genuine. I haven't had a chance to chat with Lisa since the day I filed those papers. She's like a ghost in my life now. A chapter 1 has come to a close for good. Whatever she's up to, whoever she is spending time with, I'm not worried about it anymore. I'm really concentrating on my own journey, creating something meaningful with someone who shares my values. And I wouldn't change a thing. 2 years later, Lisa is now living on her own. In that same house we used to enjoy together. But now it's peaceful. People come and go, exactly how she wished. She welcomes them into her bed, seeking the acceptance she has always longed for. They'll be staying for a night. Perhaps so. And then they head out. They take advantage of her, and she allows them to. It's not quite the love and acceptance she had hoped for. It feels like a constant cycle of emptiness. That's quite ironic, seriously. She really put in a lot of effort for this idea. And now, that's all she has now. She has shared with others that she feels lonely. It's more challenging than she thought it would be. Alright, what was she hoping for? She opened a door that she couldn't close, and now she's in a bit of a pickle because of her choices. Speaking for myself, life is great, really great. Following the divorce, I adopted 2 German Shepherds, Rex and Bella. That was the best decision I could have made. We love to go on hikes every weekend, whether it's raining or sunny. There's a special way they gaze at me. It's like they're showing me that loyalty and companionship truly exist. Guess what? I met someone. Hey there, Sarah. She's unique compared to Lisa in all the important ways. She's reliable. Nice. A woman who has lost her husband, a member of the Marine Corps, a little while ago. We really connect in a way I never did with Lisa. There aren't any games available. Let's keep things smooth and easygoing. There's no need to explore. Beyond what we share, Sarah possesses a gentle strength. Being with her just feels so right, like a feeling I haven't experienced in ages. Lisa once said I was boring. I was told I could be more adventurous. Oh, this seems a bit dull. Alright, I'll go ahead and take it. I have my dogs with me, my well-being. A woman who truly understands the importance of genuine commitment. Lisa, she's got a cozy house and a warm bed for a few hours here and there. Perhaps that's the life she dreamed of. As I glance at Sarah next to me, giving Rex some love, I'm really happy to feel like I'm right where I need to be. Hello, dear listeners. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. And remember to give it a like. Feel free to share and subscribe.